Nobody believes this woman is almost 80 years old. But the African grandmother in this old photograph has skin with no lines and no dark spots, and she has never once bought a single thing to keep it that way. Everything she used she grew or gathered with her own two hands, on her own red earth, under a Baobab tree older than her village. Her name is Adayeze, and every bit of what she knows was carried across the water. When her daughters, and her daughters after them, were taken from that red earth and loaded onto ships, they could carry almost nothing at all. But they carried this, in their hands and in their heads and in the things they whispered to their children in the dark. And the grandmothers of Black America kept it alive in their own kitchens, the old African way of tending to skin, long after anyone recalled where it began. And here is what should make you angry. Those very same things are being sold back to us right now in little glass jars for $60 with foreign names on the label. Today you will hear 15 African skin cures our grandmothers carried across the water. Every one of them costs pennies. Every one of them beats the serum on the shelf. Stay to the end, because the last one is not a thing you can buy at all. It is the belief that held the whole practice together, and it is the reason their skin glowed when ours is left to age. Number 15. Raw shea butter, the first anti-aging cream the world ever had, and it came straight out of Africa. The African grandmother scooped it from a calabash, thick and ivory and smelling of nuts and smoke, and worked it into her face and her arms every single day. It comes from the nut of the carrot tree that grows across the dry savanna, and the women roast it and pound it and stir it by hand for hours, the way Adayeze learned to as a girl. She would sit with the older women in the cool of the evening, their hands moving in the same slow circles as hers, and she learned young that a thing worth having is a thing you make with patience. Raw shea holds vitamin A and vitamin E, the very things the labels now brag about in fine print. And here is the part that stings. Walk into any shop today, and you will find shea whipped into a cream, perfumed, put in a jar, and sold for $40 or $60. She used it pure, for almost nothing, straight from the calabash. Her skin stayed soft and full into old age. We pay a fortune for a watered-down spoonful of the same thing, and then we wonder why it does so little. Number 14. Black soap. Not the pretty bars you think you know, but the real thing. Dark brown and rough and soft in the hand, that Adayeze made herself from ash and oil. The women burn plantain skins and cocoa pods down to a fine ash. Mix that ash with shea and palm oil and let it cure for weeks, a way of making soap far older than any factory. The African grandmother washed her face with it, and it cleaned without stripping, because it kept its own natural glycerin instead of having it taken out. A ball of it cost next to nothing in the market. That same black soap now sits on American shelves in a fancy wrapper for $20 a bar, sold to us as a discovery. She discovered nothing. Her mother made it, and her mother before her, on the same red earth, for as long as anyone could count. It carries the smell of the fire it was made over, and to Adayeze, that smell is simply the smell of home. Before we go on, do one small thing for Adayeze and for the grandmothers of Black America who kept all of this alive when they had every reason in the world to forget it. Tap the like button and subscribe to The Vault. It is free, and it keeps these old African ways from being lost a second time. Now, back to it. Number 13. Red palm oil. Not the pale stuff, but the deep orange oil that stains a cloth, pressed from the fruit of the oil palm that has fed West Africa for longer than history. The African grandmother cooked with it, and she rubbed a little into her skin as well, and there was a reason her face looked lit from the inside. That orange color is carotene, the very thing the body turns into vitamin A, the same vitamin nearly every anti-aging serum is built around today. She had her vitamin A in a cooking pot for pennies. They sell you theirs in a glass dropper for $60 and call it a breakthrough. Adeyezes would only laugh at that. She has worn the color of the sunrise on her skin her whole long life, and it never cost her a thing. It sat in the very same pot she cooked the evening meal in, and it fed her twice over, once from the inside and once on the skin. Number 12. Cocoa butter, pressed from the cacao bean that made the Gold Coast famous. In the land we now call Ghana, thick and pale and smelling faintly of chocolate. The African grandmother melted it between her hands and pressed it into the skin that stretched over the belly, over the hips, and it kept the skin supple where it would have cracked and marked. Ghana grows more cacao than almost anywhere on earth, so the butter was there, cheap and plentiful, in every market stall. Now that very same cocoa butter is whipped, perfumed, branded, and sold back to us at a price that would feed a whole house for a week. She paid a few coins for hers. Her skin stayed smooth over every year and every child she carried. The jar on the shelf does no more than her bare hands already did. Number 11. Baobab oil. From the tree of life itself, the great swollen baobab that can live 1,000 years and hold water in its trunk through the driest season. The African grandmother pressed a golden oil from its seeds, light enough to sink in fast, and smoothed it over her face at night. It carries omega oils and vitamins and a heavy load of the antioxidants that fight the very lines we spend fortunes trying to erase. The people of the savannah have used it for hundreds of years, and Adeyezi calls it by a name far older than the country. Today, it is one of the most fashionable oils in the whole beauty world, poured into serums that carry luxury prices. She took it from a tree that asked nothing of her. That is the whole difference between them and us. We simply forgot that it was already ours. Adeyeze once watched her own grandmother sit beneath one of these ancient trees and do this very thing, and now she sits beneath it herself, an old woman in her turn. Number 10, and this is the one the brides wore, camwood, a deep red powder ground from the heart of a West African tree, the one the Yoruba call osun. The African grandmother mixed it into a paste and smoothed it over the skin of a bride before her wedding and over a newborn baby, because it evened the skin, softened it, and left it glowing a warm red gold. It has been used across West Africa for hundreds of years, from Sierra Leone clear across to Cameroon, and it still hides quietly inside the black soap you can buy today. What did it do? It faded dark spots and calmed the skin and smoothed the fine lines, the exact promises printed on a vitamin C serum that costs a small fortune now. Adeyez wore osun as a young bride. Her skin has held that quiet glow ever since, all these long years on. There is a photograph of her on her wedding day, the red of the osun still warm on her skin, and the face in that picture and the face under the baobab today are barely a world apart. And if these have surprised you, hold on, because we are coming now to the ones almost no one outside Adeyez's village has ever heard of. Number 4 in particular did the work of a whole shelf of products from a single dark oil. Stay with me. Number 9. Moringa. From the tree the old ones call the miracle tree. Its leaves grow in feathery green rows across the dry land, and Adeyeze crushed them and pressed a light oil from the little seeds. The African grandmother knew the leaf fed you from the inside, and the oil fed your skin from the outside, packed with the antioxidants that hold aging back. It grows fast and free across West Africa, a tree so generous it feeds whole villages in the hungry season. Now, Moringa is a word on costly labels, sold as a rare superfood for your face. There was nothing rare about it where she stood. It grew right there by the path. She reached up and took what she needed, and her skin drank it in, and she never paid a single soul. The old ones say the tree gives and never grows tired, and Adeyeze says a woman should treat her own skin the same way, feeding it a little every day. Number 8. Aloe. straight from the fat green leaf. The African grandmother grew it by the door, and when the sun burned the skin or a rash rose up, she snapped off a leaf, split it open, and pressed the cool, clear gel onto the skin. No bottle, no perfume, no long list of things she could not read. Fresh from the plant, the way it grew from the same red earth. It cost her one plant, once, and it made more of itself for years. That very gel is bottled now, with water and chemicals stirred in, and sold for far more than the plant ever asked. Her skin stayed calm and clear, because a calm skin is a skin that ages slow. She simply grew her own. Number 7, raw honey, thick and golden wild. The African grandmother smoothed it straight onto her face and let it sit there while she worked. Honey pulls moisture into the skin and holds it there, and it quiets the things that anger the skin, which is why it has been laid on faces for as long as there have been bees and women. Adayez took hers from the comb, wild honey, dark and heavy and warm. It cost her a sting or two and nothing more. Today, they bottle honey into masks and serums and charge you dearly for a spoonful of what she wore for free. Her skin stayed plump and calm. The jar on the shelf is only chasing what the bees had already made. When she was a small girl, the honey was a treat and a treatment both, and she has never once been able to tell the two apart. Number 6, coconut oil, pressed white and fragrant along the warm coast. The African grandmother rubbed it over her arms and her legs until they shone, and worked it through her hair as well. It sealed the skin against the dry Harmattan wind that cracks the lips and dulls the face, holding the moisture in where the wind would steal it away. Along the coast, it was everywhere, cheap and common in every household. She did not use it on every part of her face, because she knew her own skin better than any stranger could, but where she wanted a deep shine, she reached for it first. Now, it is jarred as a luxury balm at a luxury price. She pressed hers from a nut that fell at her own feet. Number 5, the earth itself. Not a cream, not a powder from a shop, but the very ground beneath her feet. The African grandmother dug a fine clay from the bank of the river, mixed it with a little water, and wore it as a mask that drew the dirt and the oil up out of the skin. When it dried and cracked and she washed it away, her face was left clean and tight and bright, which is the whole point of the clay masks they sell in pretty tubes today. Hers came from the ground for nothing. She knew which bank held the good clay, the way you would know your own street, and she took only what she needed. There is a whole aisle of clay masks now, each one promising what the riverbank gave her plain. The earth of that homeland fed her skin the way it fed her crops. She simply bent down and gathered it. Her hands knew that riverbank the way they knew her own face, and both of them, the earth and the woman, seemed to grow softer and finer with the years. Number 4, the one almost no one knows, black palm kernel oil, what the old ones call ADIN, pressed and roasted from the seed inside the palm fruit until it runs dark, almost like tar. The African grandmother kept it for the tender things, for a newborn skin, for a rash, for the dry, cracked places that nothing else would soften. It sinks in deep and heavy, and it has quieted African skin for hundreds of years, mother to daughter, on that same red ground. You will not find it dressed up on a bright shelf, because it is humble and dark and hard to make look pretty. But it did, from one small pot, what a whole basket of creams and balms is reaching for now. A daisy trusted above all the rest. It has never once let her down. She rubbed it onto every child born under her roof, and those children are grown now with children of their own, and the little dark pot still sits on her shelf. Number 3, cold water from the river. After she washed, the African grandmother rinsed her face one last time with the cool water carried up from the great river at first light. Warm water leaves the skin open and rough. That cold rinse closed it back down, so the skin lay smooth and held its oils and caught the morning light. It cost her nothing but the walk to the water. There are shine serums and cooling tools sold now to fake what that cold river gave her plain. She simply cupped the water in her 2 hands. Her skin shone because it was sealed and calm, not because she had spent a fortune to paint a shine on top of it. Number 2, and this one is the hardest for us to hear. She anointed her skin every single day, and then she left it alone. Once the African grandmother had worked in her Shea or her oil morning and night without fail, she did not pick at her face or fret over it, or change her whole way every season. She trusted the few plain things she had, and she gave them years, not days. That is the part we cannot seem to manage. We buy a jar, use it for a week, lose our patience, and buy another. Adeze has rubbed the same butter into her skin every morning for 60 years and more. The glow you see on her is not one clever product. It is one small act, repeated 10,000 times, on skin she was taught from a girl to love. And now number 1, and remember I told you the last one is not a thing you can buy. It is the belief that held all 14 of the others together. The African grandmother did not believe that lovely skin came off a shelf. She believed it came from the land, gathered with your own 2 hands, and worked into the skin as an act of care, almost as a prayer. She believed the earth already held everything her skin would ever need, the shea and the oil and the clay and the leaf, given freely, asking nothing in return. She did not see it as a chore. She saw it as a way of loving herself and of loving the land that had loved her first. That belief is the thing we truly lost, not the shea, not the black soap, not the red oil. What we lost was the knowing that our skin was ours to tend, from a homeland that fed us first, for almost no money at all. And here is the part that should never leave you. Those women carried that belief onto the ships. They kept it burning in kitchens in a strange and brutal land. They handed it down, mother to daughter, all the way down to you. Adeze still lives it every morning under her Baobab tree, and her skin, dark and glowing at nearly 80, is the proof and the inheritance and the way home. So there they are, 15. African skin cures our grandmothers carried across the water back when they were allowed to carry almost nothing else. Not one of them is truly gone. The Shea still sits in the calabash. The black soap still cures in the sun. The Baobab still stands, holding its oil, older than all of us put together. And the belief is still just as true as it ever was, no matter how many jars they try to sell you. And Adeze is still there, every single morning, under the tree that outlived her grandmother and will outlive her too, keeping the old way alive with her own 2 hands. If this brought even a little of it back to you, do 2 things before you go. Tap that like button so more of us find our way home to it. And subscribe to The Vault, because next time we are opening up what these same women did for hair that grew thick and long in that very same soil, and you are not going to want to miss it. The vault is open. Come on in.